The Lakers have officially traded for Patrick the Menace Beverly, and we gave up Stanley Johnson and THT to do so. The Lakers are desperate for some vets who can both energize the rotation and do the little things that help us win games. Those are the two biggest things that have been missing from this Lakers roster ever since we lost both Rajon Rondo and Jared Dudley a few years ago. Before any type of reaction to this trade, I do have to say, just for myself, and I'm pretty sure everybody else out there, Pat Bev and Russell Westbrook being on the same team is pure jokes, bro. Straight comedy, bro. Like, we all know Pat Bev is the guy who incidentally hurt Russell Westbrook's knee back in OKC in his earlier days. Now, Russ and many Russ fans and some Patrick Beverly haters, they don't think this was so incidental. My opinion on that was it was just a hard play by a defender. Now, it is one of those plays you don't really make in the league, one of those plays that you don't go for because you know it can injure someone. However, Patrick Beverly was in a situation where he's trying to prove himself and make sure he puts his stamp on the league. And during that time, he wasn't the household name that he is today. Truth be told, I didn't even know who he was when he injured Russ at the time. So with that being said, it makes sense why Patrick Beverly would go for such a play of that magnitude, even though most times that's an unspoken play you don't do in the NBA. He's fighting for a job, bro. Now, a couple years later, Russ went on a post-game interview to talk about Pat Bev's defensive prowess after the Houston Rockets played them. A couple years later, Russ went on a post-game interview after the Rockets-Clippers matchup to talk about Pat Bev's defensive prowess, or lack thereof. The famous quote we all know and love was Russ saying,
Pat Bev trick y'all, man, like he play defense. He don't guard nobody, man. He just running around doing nothing. It's not, as you've seen what happened, 47.
I don't quite recall Pat Bev really responding to it too much, other than me seeing interviews like on JJ Redick's podcast where he said, you know, that actually messed up his career. It kind of put a barrier in his career a little bit, and how it was affected by just that MVP saying that. And to me, it makes perfect sense. An MVP saying stuff like this about a player in the league, it makes sense why it's damaging, because not only will players hear this, but front office refs will hear this and they'll look at Patrick Beverly extremely different. It's the same as if LeBron comes to you and says that player sucks and that player is good, it's gonna mean something. Maybe not on the level of LeBron, but you get the point. And I'm gonna be completely honest myself, whether it was taking place within the league or not, I know for damn sure it was taking place on Twitter. The Patrick Beverly memes were flying, and if they weren't memes, it was people talking about how he doesn't do shit on the defensive end of the ball. I am included in that. The funniest part about this in the whole grand scheme of things is the same game that Russ said this quote, he only had 17 points in 30 minutes, and it was not an efficient 17 points because Harden had to drop 47 points in the 40 minutes that he played to even do what they had to do to win. So is Patrick Beverly really just running around, or were you just being a hater? As for the basketball side of this, which is why you are all truly here, Pat Bev helps our squad out so much in ways that you don't really think of. He's a kind of glue guy. He's like a Draymond Green, just of smaller stature. THT was an okay wing for us, but the consistency is not something you can afford as a team looking to contend. This past season, they gave him a bigger role, and yet again, THT was not only inconsistent, but because of his early season barriers that caused the beginning of his year to get to a rocky start, he never really got into his rhythm. Now, it sucks because any other team that's not really winning or looking to contend, they might be okay with this, because the beginning season issues that he had weren't necessarily his fault. He fractured his hand, and then he went on to get COVID a little bit after coming back from fracturing his hand. So he kind of had things happen that were pretty much out of his control. But for a team that is contending, there's no time to be patient, and we were all calling for THT to be traded, and it has happened. Finally. That does not mean THT is a bad player, and I don't think he is by any means. I just believe last year he got to a rocky start, never got his feet under him to get his rhythm going, and that unfortunately bit him in the ass later on. Patrick Beverly is a more reliable role player that plays great defense, and though he had a dip in shooting last year with Minnesota, his previous 6 seasons before Minnesota, he shot 40% from deep with only 4 attempts per game, which is something we can look forward to because we haven't had shooting the way we need it. We all know Pat Bev isn't really the type of player to break down a defender and create for others, but what he lacks in that ability, he makes up for making the smart plays and the simple plays when the simple plays should be made. The number one reason I like Patrick Beverly on this team above all else is that he wants to win. And not only does he want to win, he finally is a guy that gets to be there to put other guys in check. For so long, the Lakers haven't had that leadership quality, that leadership role. And that's mainly because guys like LeBron, he's doing so much already that leadership he can't hone in on. Guys like AD, they've always been silent leaders. He doesn't really speak up too much. Guys like Russ, it's hard to follow his lead because his leading is more of, I'm leading, you guys behind me, get on my back and follow this ride. It's hard to follow that. You can't get a group of 15 guys to follow that cohesive. So with Patrick Beverly coming in, I see that leadership role and the accountability factor being used to its utmost. And that's what I love most about this, because at the end of the day, all Pat Bev wants to do is win. Truth be told, we're gonna be at least in the Western Conference Finals. I mean, it's a done deal at this point. The Lakers guard rotation features Russ, Austin Reeves, Lonnie Walker IV, and Street Clothes None. Pat Bev added to the mix is a massive upgrade, but it does beg to question what the chemistry will be like. Above all else, I think all will be fine, because at the end of the day, this team wants to win. That's all they want to do. It's basketball, it's NBA, all you want to do is win. As grown men, if a conversation cannot be had to squash their beef for the sake of winning, LA has even bigger problems than what we thought they had. Like, there's no way we're even coming close to winning if they can't even squash it. Now, I will say, the only thing that confuses me is why now? THT is about to have his 22nd birthday. The Lakers gave him an extension last year, a bit early, I might add, but an extension nonetheless. And above all else, they refused to include him in a trade for Kyle Lowry at the deadline. Now, maybe that proved fruitful because at the deadline, you know, Kyle Lowry did get traded, but he did end up getting hurt to where he wasn't really available for Miami in the playoffs when they really needed him most. But overall, what changed from the deadline to now with regards to THT? There hasn't been any basketball other than pro-ams, and the only performance seen out of THT was his abysmal performance in the Drew. And again, like I said in my video back then, I don't think NBA front office execs really take much stock in that. What you're looking for in NBA basketball is completely different what you're looking for in a pro-am setting. NBA basketball, you play your role and you do your role. If you could play your role, if your role is asking for 2 points per game, 5 assists, and 5 steals, and you do all those things, you have a job in the league. A pro-am, niggas just trying to get buckets. Now, to me, it's shocking to see the Jazz do something like this that doesn't involve getting a draft pick or helping their future. Pat Bev isn't much of a loss to them, and he was never expected to stay long term, but a few weeks after the Gobert trade, the Jazz are looking at a tough road ahead, especially with the people they've given up. But I'm gonna say this, that is on them. I don't care. We are Laker Nation over here. Now, the Lakers, they're slowly but surely building a nice little roster, and this isn't really a part of my 2023 season predictions video, so they're still gonna have their own. I'm going from East to Western Conference, basically going with the top 2 teams in each division, seeing who I think is gonna be a championship contender and or a dark horse in that conference. But regardless of anything else, this is not a part of that. This is just a one-off because Pat Bev just got traded, and I was planning a Pat Bev video. But to end this video off on the best note possible, I'm gonna say this now for y'all. The Lakers are going to be 2023 NBA champions, and I'll bet a pretty dollar on that. If you want to bet, go ahead and follow me on Twitter, DM me, we can bet whatever amount of money you would like. And that's all I got for you guys in this video. If you love this, as always, drop a like on the video, make me blow up and go crazy. Until next time, it's your boy TB with the greatest hoop stories and the bass on the tube, and I'm out. Peace. Bro, the fact that that's crazy. The fact that I'm editing, I recorded and edited this video in a 1-hour lunch. I'm like that. I'm that dude, bro. Y'all need to subscribe. Y'all need to subscribe. I'm heavily underrated, bro. Heavily. Look at Russ in the back. Go crazy. All right, y'all. Till next time, gang.